I think a great position that we're in as Muslims to really approach this idea of self-compassion and self-love and all that it entails is to think of what Allah has told us, right? He tells us that every child is born on their fitrah, right? Or that we know in Islam, that we're born in a state of purity. We're born in the natural state of worthiness and deservingness, right? You would never look at a baby and be like, oh my gosh, that baby doesn't deserve to, be in a nice stroller or wear good clothes, or, oh my gosh, look at that baby eating, nice, whatever pureed food. You would just, yes, this baby should have everything and get everything, and you know that it is worthy. Whether it's your own child or someone else's child, the baby is pure and worthy and deserving. And this is a reflection of what, again, we know in Islam, right? That is that we are spirits. We are here in this world in a physical form, in this body, for a temporary time, but we were our spirit that was created long ago, that came into our mother's womb, was born into this world, and is living temporarily, and that will ultimately go back. So when we identify with our spirit, and our spirit essentially is unchanged and is limitless and is connected to Allah, then that spirit is completely worthy and deserving, right? Just like when we were babies, that when we were worthy and deserving. And so over time, right, Nahla explained so beautifully all the things that come to diminish that knowledge that we have, that, a baby cries and will keep crying until you give it what it wants. They'll just cry, no, I want that, rattle, give me that rattle. They'll scratch you, they'll claw at you, like they know they deserve that rattle, like give it to me. Even young children, I have 4 children, they'll misbehave in the morning, and 5 minutes later they'll be like, can I have ice cream, can I have this? Like there's no concept of like, you shouldn't get that, or you don't deserve that because of what you did. They're like, what, that was over and now this is what I want, I'm worthy of it, like give it to me. But it's me, right? It's me as a parent, it's a society, like you can't have that anymore, you don't deserve this, you were bad, you're not good. And the notion essentially that we're not good, that we're not good enough, that we're not meeting up to the standards of our parents, of the society, of Allah. So because of that, we do not get to have, or cannot be, or should shrink down because we are not good. So when we go back to Islam and what Allah says, we are spirits and we are born on our natural state and we're worthy and deserving. It is a coming back, right? And Islam, Muslims, people, we're all insan, the word for that is forgetful. We have all forgotten our true nature. We've forgotten who we are. And we are reminding ourselves of our spiritual nature, of our divinity within us, that Allah is closer to us than our jugular vein, and that any mistake, flaw, shortcoming, bad habit, whatever it is that we do that we think makes us so bad and so not as good as the next person is irrelevant. It is exactly how we are, I'm not saying not to work on those things, but it is a mark of our humanity. Most of us are beating ourselves up for being human. We're like, whoa, how come I can't consistently wake up for Fajr? Because you're human. How come I can't? Because you're human. You're human and you're supposed to make mistakes and be flawed. And literally Allah says, if you did not sin and make mistakes, I would replace you with people who would, so that they could make mistakes and turn back to me. It is a recognition of our humanity, acceptance of ourselves for being flawed human beings, and in that state to still claim our worthiness. Just like children, think and look of all the children around you in your life. They'll go around doing all sorts of shenanigans and then literally come back asking for whatever they want. They have no notion of the idea that they're not worthy of it. And they'll, from whether they're poor or rich or whatever, they will ask for extravagant things because they don't know the concept of money, or that's too expensive or whatever. Like, well, why can't I have that? So we have to go back to that childlike way that we just knew that we were worthy. And that is what Islam, Allah says, like, we were born on our fitra, right? We were born in that way and we lose it. So we're going back to it. And when you think about, you mentioned it being whitewashed, the wellness space, the additional pressure, Nahla touched on it as being immigrants, but it's really just now in the whole world is geared towards the standards of living according to whiteness and Western criteria. And so that added pressure of thinking that you need to do it in this Western white people way, and to, again, let go of that and be wholly comfortable and enjoying exactly who you are, how you grew up, your background, your accent, your culture, and all of it. And that is great and good. And you don't need to alter it or diminish it or change it to fit into what you think the mold of a good person or a good Muslim or whatever it is looks like. So Allah is really said, remember me. When you remember Allah, you remember you're a spirit. And that spiritual remembrance reminds you that you're worthy. And when you remember that Allah loves you already, exactly as you are, that remembering that Allah loves you can support you to love yourself. If it's too hard for you to love your own self because whatever, your past, your trauma, those things, you're just like, I can't forgive myself for these things, then go from a different angle. Go from the angle that Allah still loves you. Allah has never stopped loving you, and Allah created you knowing everything that you would do or not do and loves you. And so allow that love to then foster your own sense of self-love.